Now we're leaving the sail room for a different sort of excitement. Poole is famous for one of the noisiest sports around, Speedway, and the Poole Pirates have a long history of going sideways around the Wimborne Road Stadium. This old stadium was built in the 1930s. The local government decided to build it to give the residents around here something to do during the times of the Depression. It was originally built as a soccer pitch, which had a cycle track that ran all around the outside. Nowadays, the football's long gone. It's home to the Speedway, which is shared with the greyhound racing. And one family with Poole Speedway in their blood is the father and son combination of Ken and Neil Middleditch. And I'm here with Ken, who's affectionately known as Mr. Poole Speedway. Ken, pleased to meet you. It's an honour. It really is.
Nice to meet you too. Honour to meet you, my goodness.
What is Speedway and where did it originate from?
Well, Speedway is actually a motorcycle racing sport. Originated in Australia.
Yeah.
Back in the mid-20s.
Why did it start out there?
I don't know. Possibly because there was a lot of desert out there.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of space to race on and ride on. And then it was brought back to the UK by a very well-known man, Johnny Hoskins.
Right.
He was the Mr. Speedway in those days.
Yeah. And how big was it in his day in this area?
It started off quite small, but it grew because, I mean, around Poole there's so many small villages.
Yeah.
And they used to draw from these little villages.
Yeah.
And there were great support from them.
In its heyday, what was the capacity crowd? How many people used to come and watch?
When it started, maybe 2,000 to 3,000, but it built up to an average crowd was 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. But for big meetings, they used to put in 12,000, 13,000.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It was a lot of people for a small stadium as it was then.
You can imagine the roar, the smell, you know, the fumes, everything, can't you? The excitement.
The atmosphere really was something else.
Yeah. Why were you drawn to it?
I just, like a lot of youngsters in those days, their only means of transport was motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I first saw it, actually saw a Speedway in Bellevue when I was stationed there during the war.
Up in Manchester?
In Manchester, before I went abroad.
And you got hooked?
And I got hooked, and that's all I wanted to do. When I came out the RAF.
Yeah. You're a very modest man, because I know you were a brilliant rider in your day, weren't you? You were one of the best.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. I enjoyed the teams and travelling, and the whole atmosphere of Speedway was great.
Talk me through the rules. Do you ride as a team or against each other?
No, you ride as a pair. The idea of riding as a pair is that if you stick together, you can take up a lot of track and block off the opposition.
I've got it now.
The other beauty about riding together is if your partner comes in first and you come in second, you get paid for first as well.
Right, I see.
So you don't race your partner.
No, that's good. Otherwise, it would be too competitive.
That's the whole idea of it. Yeah.
Could you earn a lot of money in your day back
Not
then?
a lot. But we could earn enough to live on.
You could earn enough to be professional.
Pay our expenses. Yes.
What sort of money were you earning?
We used to earn 15 shillings a point, which equals 75p.
Yeah.
A point.
A point?
A point.
So how many points can you get in a night then?
3 points for a win.
Right.
You could earn 45 shillings.
Yeah. That's not bad.
No, because in those days you could buy an engine for £75.
Yeah, and that's obviously just at one race meet. So if you're doing 3 or 4 race meets a week, if you could travel around the country, you could earn a living.
Yes. So you could earn enough to live on and maintain your bike.
Yeah. How lovely.
It was a struggle.
Has it changed today much?
Oh yes, it's much more sophisticated, colourful.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I mean, you have to be pretty fearless on one of those bikes when you're racing away.
Not really, you don't think about it.
You don't think about it, do you?
Yeah, it's a great...
Too much excitement all at once. I've got to ask you this. When was the last time you got on a bike and rode round this particular track?
About 3 years ago. It was, they did a sort of testimonial for Neil and myself for the amount of years that we'd actually put into Poole Speedway. Yeah. So they asked us to do a few laps.
How did it feel?
Great. Tempting, very tempting.
Tempted to go on again today?
Yeah, I'd love to, but I'm past it now.
Never too late.
At 80 years old, bloody struggle.
Are you really?
Yes, yeah.
Well, you don't look it.
Thank you. Come again.
Well, I know Neil is over there waiting in the pits with a selection of bikes for me to look at, and hopefully I'm going to have a go on one and go round the circuit. Should we go and look?
You like that, would you?
I would love that. I would. Come on then, let's go. Neil, you're the Great Britain team manager now. You've got to know your onions, or in this case your bikes, to get that sort of qualification. You're a great rider as well, and Dad taught you, chip off the old block. This was a bike from your dad's period, wasn't it, from his era?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly what Dad used to ride, and I don't know how they used to ride them. Looking at them now, they're certainly a monster to ride.
It's a design icon. I love all the chrome.
It is. It's brilliant, isn't it? I
Piece of
it really
sculpture.
does. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It looks very lightweight.
It is. I mean, they were built for speed, not for comfort. As you can see, just the seat and the bars, no
Yeah.
brakes, no gears.
No brakes. Now, why no brakes? That's what we want to know.
I think sometimes when we used to race, we used to wonder that as well. But no, it's mainly for a safety point of view.
Yeah.
Guys braking, hitting, running in the back of each other, that sort of thing, really.
Yeah, that's a lovely bike.
It is
really
beautiful.
is. Well, let's see how they've evolved. The one behind us is what? So the 1960s?
No, this is actually 1980s. This is
1980s.
actually my bike, the one I finished racing on.
This bike's got lots of memories for you.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's to say this is the one I finished on. This is one I always keep, and my children can look at it and say, you know, what do you do for a living, Dad? Well, this is what I used to race.
Wow, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
And how fast? What sort of speeds could you do on this?
Well, they run on methanol, not petrol, and they'll do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, which is sort of almost...
That's fast.
Very fast.
That's very fast.
From a standing start.
Especially with no brakes. Well, it looks great, but again, they are evolving, aren't they? And this is what we've got now. If we zoom around here,
This bike is a prototype which is built by a local firm, Penske, who make Indy cars, for Tony Rickardson, who's a 6 times world champion.
Yeah.
This was actually built, called the Midlow, which is named after my father and I, which is rather nice. But this is the first one built. This is what Tony races at the moment.
yeah, they look like they're built to last now, though, don't they?
They do crash quite a bit and do bend quite easily.
We don't want to know that. There's one more to look at, which is really the state of the art. This is exactly what young riders would wish to ride today.
That's right. This is how we see the future of speedway, with all the streamlining
Yeah.
and for a little bit more speed, because it's tenths of seconds in speedway. You can win a race tenths of a second. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So, but this is the way that the sport's going at the moment.
There's no doubt that the atmosphere of Speedway can be intoxicating. Every week, these powerful machines are tweaked to perfection before they hurtle around the track in breathtaking races, pitching man and machine against their rivals. And that's just how it's always been here at the Wimborne Stadium throughout the generations.